The cave smelled like wet stone and something else Hana could not name. She dragged her supply pack deeper into the darkness, away from the rain that hammered the forest outside. Her shoulder ached where she had hit it during the crash. 3 days had passed since the eternal spring broke apart in the atmosphere. 3 days since she had seen another human being. Hana pulled out her medical scanner and checked herself again. No broken bones. Just bruises and cuts. She was lucky. The emergency pod had deployed properly, even if it had dropped her 20 kilometers from the main crash site. Her radio was broken. Her navigation system was dead. But she was alive. She set up her small shelter in the driest part of the cave. The thermal blanket reflected her body heat back at her. She ate half a ration bar and drank some water. Tomorrow she would try to find the others. Tonight she would rest. That was when she heard the clicking sound. Hana froze. The clicking came from deeper in the cave. It sounded like claws on stone. Multiple sets of claws. She reached for her emergency flare gun, the only weapon she had. Her hand shook slightly. 3 shapes moved in the darkness. They were smaller than she expected. Maybe a meter tall each. They had scaled skin that caught the dim light from her shelter. Their eyes glowed yellow in the shadows. They moved in a pattern, like hunters surrounding prey. Hana recognized a coordinated attack when she saw one. She was a xenobiologist. She had studied predator behavior on a dozen worlds. These creatures were trying to ambush her. The largest one made a sound like a growl. It tensed its legs and leaped. What happened next was not what Hana expected. The creature jumped too early. Its back legs slipped on the wet stone. It flew through the air in a wild tumble and crashed into the cave wall with a thud. The second creature tried to pounce from the side, but it tripped over its own tail and fell flat on its face. The third one let out what was probably meant to be a terrifying battle cry, but it came out as a high-pitched squeak. The third creature raised a small blade and charged. Hana did not move. The blade hit her supply pack with a dull clang and bounced off the metal frame. The creature stumbled backward, looking confused. All 3 creatures ended up in a heap at her feet. They made small grunting sounds as they untangled themselves. Hana stared at them. Then she laughed. She could not help it. The laugh bubbled up from her chest, releasing all the fear and tension of the past 3 days. These were not fearsome predators. They were children. Clumsy, inexperienced children trying very hard to be scary. The creatures looked up at her with wide yellow eyes. They seemed shocked that she was laughing instead of screaming. Hana knelt down slowly. She put the flare gun aside. "Are you hurt?" she asked in Korean, knowing they could not understand her words, but hoping they would understand her tone. She reached out carefully and checked the first one, the one who had hit the wall. She ran her hands gently over its head and shoulders, checking for injuries the way she had been trained. There was a small bump forming on its forehead. The creature made a sound like a confused purr. The second one had scraped its knees. Hana pulled out her medical kit and cleaned the scrapes with antiseptic. The creature hissed at the sting but held still. The third one, the smallest, just stared at her with those huge eyes. "You are all okay," Hana said softly. "Just some bumps and scrapes. Nothing serious." She opened her pack and pulled out 3 ration bars. The creatures sniffed them suspiciously. The largest one took a careful bite, then made a face like it had tasted something terrible. But it kept eating anyway. The other 2 did the same. "Too sweet for you?" Hana asked with a smile. "Sorry, it is all I have right now." She studied them as they ate. They had 4 limbs, bipedal stance, and opposable thumbs. Their scales were a dark green color with lighter patterns. They wore simple leather straps with pouches. The smallest one had what looked like ceremonial marks painted on its arms. "What are you doing out here?" Hana wondered aloud. "Where are your parents?" The creatures finished eating and looked at each other. They made clicking sounds that might have been language. The largest one pointed at Hana and made a longer series of clicks. The other two responded with their own clicks. They seemed to be arguing about something. Hana pulled her thermal blanket larger and patted the ground next to her. It is cold and wet out there. You can stay here tonight if you want. The creatures looked at each other again. Then, slowly, they moved closer. They settled down near her shelter, not quite touching her, but close enough to share the warmth. My name is Hana, she said, pointing to herself. Hana, the largest creature, pointed to itself. Richter, it said in a growling voice. The second one pointed to itself. Shiva. The smallest one was quiet for a moment, then whispered, Talnix. Hana smiled. Richter, Shiva, Talnix. Good to meet you, my little stars. She did not know why she called them that. The Korean words just came naturally. Najagin Bildul. My little stars. Maybe because their eyes glowed in the darkness like distant points of light. The creatures curled up near the warmth of her shelter. Richter kept one eye open, watching her. But gradually, all three of them fell asleep. Hana stayed awake longer. She looked at these strange children who had tried to hunt her and failed so completely. She wondered what would happen when morning came. She wondered if their parents would come looking for them. Outside, the rain continued to fall. But inside the cave, Hana felt a strange sense of peace. She was not alone anymore. She finally closed her eyes and slept, three alien children breathing softly nearby. Morning light filtered into the cave through the entrance. Hana woke to the sound of heavy footsteps and angry clicking noises. She sat up quickly. The three cubs scrambled to their feet, looking nervous. 6 adult aliens entered the cave. They were massive, easily 2 meters tall, with the same scaled skin as the cubs, but covered in scars and wearing armor made of dark metal and leather. They carried weapons that looked like spears and curved blades. Their eyes fixed on Hana with an intensity that made her heart race. The largest of the adults, a male with a red crest running down his spine, stepped forward. He looked at the 3 cubs and made a series of harsh clicking sounds. The cubs clicked back, their voices small and defensive. Richter pointed at Hana and made a long explanation in clicks. The adult's eyes widened slightly. He looked between Hana and the cubs, clearly confused. Hana raised her hands slowly, palms out, showing she was not a threat. Hello, she said calmly. I did not hurt them. They are safe. The adult male tilted his head. He stepped closer to Hana, studying her. She could smell something like cinnamon and metal coming from him. He reached out one clawed hand toward her face. Before Hana could react, another voice called out from the cave entrance. Hana, thank God. Ji-won Park stumbled into the cave, breathing hard. She wore a torn uniform from the colony ship and carried a salvaged translator device. Behind her were 2 more humans from the crash, both looking relieved to have found Hana alive. Ji-won. Hana stood up. How did you find me? We tracked your emergency beacon signal. It was very weak, but Ji-won stopped talking when she saw the armed aliens. Her hand went to the small pistol at her belt. No. Hana stepped between them. They have not hurt me. Please, do not make this worse. Ji-won looked at the cubs huddled behind Hana, then at the adult warriors. She slowly took her hand away from her weapon. Okay, I trust you. She activated the translator device, a small box that would attempt to learn and translate unknown languages. It beeped and hummed as it analyzed the clicking sounds the aliens made. The adult male with the red crest spoke. The translator stuttered, trying to make sense of the words. After a moment, a mechanical voice said, What have you done to our young hunters? Hana looked at the cubs, then back at the adult. I gave them food and treated their injuries. They are welcome to stay with me. More clicking. The translator worked better this time. Our young were on their first hunt. They were to prove themselves by taking down prey. You are their target. You are prey. Hannah blinked. She looked at the three cubs, who suddenly seemed very interested in the cave floor. They tried to hunt me? Yes. Did they succeed? Are you captured? Well, Hannah thought about it. They surprised me, and they are here with me now. So I suppose they did capture me, in a way. Ji-won stared at Hannah like she was crazy. What are you doing? She whispered in Korean. Helping them save face, Hannah whispered back. The adult male made a sound that might have been a laugh. He spoke to the cubs in a gentler tone. Talix, the smallest, clicked back nervously. The adult listened, then made a longer statement. The translator said, The young one says you fed them and called them stars. This is true? Yes, they are my little stars. All the adults made clicking sounds together. They seemed agitated. The red-crested male stepped closer to Hannah. You are strange prey. Prey does not feed hunters. Prey does not name hunters. I am not prey, Hannah said firmly. I am Hannah, a person. They are also persons, not just hunters. They are children. The translator struggled with the concept. The alien male tilted his head far to one side, a gesture that looked like confusion. G1 spoke up. Who are you? What is your name? The male struck his chest with one fist. I am War Master Krekthor. I train the young in the ways of the hunt. These three cubs are my students. I am Ji-won Park. I speak for our people. We crashed on this world by accident. We mean no harm to you or your people. Krekthor made a sound like a snort. Your metal sky nest burned across the night. We saw. We thought you were invaders. We are survivors, Hannah said. Just trying to live. Krekthor looked at the cubs again. He spoke directly to Richter, who responded with a series of clicks. Shiva and Talix added their own voices. The conversation went on for several minutes. Finally, Krekthor turned back to Hannah. The cubs say you did not fear them. They say you laughed. They say you touched them with gentle hands and gave them sweet food they did not like but ate anyway. That is true. In our ways, when a young hunter completes their first hunt, they are bound to their prey. The first kill creates a bond. The hunter learns from what they take. He paused. But you are not dead. You are not defeated. Yet the cubs claim you as their first prey. I do not understand, Hannah admitted. Neither do I, Krekthor said. The translator caught something that might have been frustration in his tone. In all our history, no prey has ever befriended the hunter. No prey has ever named the hunter. The cubs cannot complete their rite of passage in the normal way. Ji-won saw an opportunity. Then perhaps we can create a new way. Our people and yours working together. The Valkyrie do not work with prey species. Then stop seeing us as prey, Hannah said quietly. We are not prey. We are people like you. Different, but people. Krekthor was silent for a long moment. The other adult Valkyrie watched him, waiting for his decision. The cubs looked between Hannah and their teacher with worried eyes. You are weak, Krekthor said finally. You have no claws, no scales, no strength. How can you be people? Hannah smiled. She pulled out her medical scanner and showed it to him. We have knowledge. We have tools. We can heal injuries, grow food, and build shelters. We can teach and we can learn. She pointed to the cubs. They tried to be fierce hunters. They failed. But they are not failures. They are young and learning. That is strength too, is it not? The strength to try and try again? Krekthor stared at the device in her hand. Then he looked at the cubs, who stood straighter under his gaze. You have created a problem, he said to Hannah. The cubs are now bound to you as their hunt mother. This is our law. Where the first prey goes, the hunters must follow until the debt is paid. Debt? Hannah asked. You spared their lives. You fed them. You named them. They owe you 3 debts that can never be fully repaid. The translator caught what might have been respect in his voice. You are strange, human Hana, but perhaps you are not prey after all. Ji-Wan smiled slightly. Does this mean we can talk? Our leaders and yours? Yes, Krekthur said. We will talk. But the cubs stay with their hunt mother. This is our way. Hana looked down at Richther, Shiva, and Talnix. They looked back at her with those glowing yellow eyes. I can accept that, she said. My little stars are welcome with me. 2 months had passed since the meeting in the cave. The human colony had grown from scattered survivors into a real settlement. They called it Haven. Commander Doyen Choi, the highest-ranking officer who survived the crash, led the colony with a practical mind and a firm hand. The Volcari village was 3 kilometers away through the forest. The 2 settlements existed side by side, watching each other carefully. Trade had begun. Information was exchanged. But trust was still fragile. Hana's medical tent sat between the 2 worlds. She worked there every day, treating humans and Volcari alike. The 3 cubs were always nearby. Hold still, Richther, Hana said as she wrapped a bandage around his arm. You need to let this heal properly. Richther growled softly but obeyed. He had cut himself trying to climb a tree the human way, using his hands instead of his claws. Human climbing is weak, he muttered in his improving human language. Human climbing uses different muscles, Hana corrected. Not weak, different. Shiva sat at a table nearby, studying a book about plant biology. Her clawed finger traced the pictures slowly. She had learned to read human writing faster than the other 2. This says humans grow food in the ground. On purpose. Yes, we call it farming. Why not just hunt? Talnix asked from where he was helping organize medical supplies. He had become Hana's unofficial assistant, learning the names and uses of every tool and medicine. Because farming is reliable, Hana explained for the 10th time that week. Hunting depends on finding animals. Farming means you always know where your food is. But hunting is honorable, Richther argued. Feeding your people is honorable, Hana said. The method does not matter. The cubs made thoughtful clicking sounds to each other. They did this often now, discussing what they learned in their own language before deciding what to think. Commander Doyen entered the tent. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. Dr. Kwan, we have a situation. What kind of situation? The Volcari War Council is here. They want to talk about the cubs. Hana's stomach tightened. She looked at Richther, Shiva, and Talnix. Stay here. I will handle this. We should come, Richther said, standing up. This is about us. He's right, Doyen said. They specifically asked for the cubs to be present. They walked to the council building, a large structure made from salvaged ship parts. Inside, War Master Krekthur stood with 5 other Volcari adults. One of them was particularly large, with dark blue scales and scars covering his face and arms. This was High Warrior Draxon. Hana had seen him before. He never looked happy. Human Hana, Krekthur said formally. We must speak about the young ones. I am listening. Draxon stepped forward. His voice was deep and harsh. These cubs were meant to be warriors. Strong, fierce, honorable. He gestured at the 3 standing beside Hana. Look at them now. They read human words. They grow plants. They heal wounds instead of causing them. You are making them soft. I am teaching them, Hana said calmly. You are ruining them. Draxon slammed his fist on the table. A Volcari warrior does not plant seeds. A Volcari warrior does not waste time with injured prey. A Volcari warrior hunts, fights, and conquers. This is our way. Your way is not the only way, Hana replied. It is the Valkyrie way. These cubs will grow weak under your influence. When they face a real enemy, they will die because you taught them kindness instead of killing. Richter stepped forward. I challenge that claim. Every adult in the room looked at him. Cubs did not speak in War Council meetings. This was forbidden. Richter continued anyway. I have learned to kill. War Master Krekther taught me well. I know how to use blade and spear. I know where to strike for a quick death. He touched his chest. But Hana taught me when not to kill. She taught me that some problems cannot be solved with violence. Shiva spoke next. 3 weeks ago, a Valkyrie hunter was injured far from the village. He would have died. But Talix and I found him and used human medicine to stop the bleeding. We carried him back. He lives because we did not just know how to cause wounds, but how to close them. Talix, the smallest, added, Last week, a human called Jiwan shared her research about the local plants. She found which ones are good to eat and which are poison. I took this information to our village. Now our people will not starve when the hunting is poor. Draxen snarled. Tricks and softness. Not the strength of true warriors. Is knowledge not strength? Richter asked. Is saving a life not worthy? Is feeding your people not honorable? Enough. Draxen turned to the other War Council members. You see? They speak like humans now. They question our ways. This is exactly what I warned about. Krekther had been quiet during the exchange. Now he spoke. High Warrior Draxen makes one good point. The cubs are changing. They are not becoming the warriors we expected. Hana's heart sank, but Krekther continued. They are becoming something different. Perhaps something better. I have watched them. They can still hunt. They can still fight. But they also think before they act. They consider options beyond violence. They solve problems I could not solve with blade alone. You defend this weakness? Draxen demanded. I defend results, Krekther said firmly. The saved hunter was my brother. The plant knowledge prevented sickness in my own family. These cubs have brought value to our people that hunting alone could not provide. An older Valkyrie female, her scales pale with age, spoke for the first time. I am Elder Theron. I have seen many seasons. I remember when food was scarce and many died. She looked at the cubs. If what you learn can prevent such deaths, then learn well. Draxen glared at her. Elder, you would abandon our traditions? I would see our people survive and thrive, Theron said. Traditions that lead to death are not worth keeping. The debate continued for hours. Some War Council members agreed with Draxen. Others saw value in what the cubs were learning. Voices rose and fell. Arguments clashed like blades. Finally, Commander Doyen spoke. Perhaps we are asking the wrong question. The question is not whether the cubs should learn human ways or Valkyrie ways. The question is whether both our peoples can benefit from learning from each other. Humans have nothing to teach us, Draxen said. Hana had remained quiet for most of the meeting, letting others speak. But now she stood. Then explain why your warriors die from infections we can easily cure. Explain why you struggle in winter when we can store food for months. Explain why you fight each other for resources when cooperation would give everyone more. She met Draxen's eyes. We are not asking you to stop being Valkyrie. We are offering you new tools. You keep your strength, your honor, your traditions. But you add knowledge. You add options. You add choices. Draxen stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned and left the building without another word. Theron watched him go. High Warrior Draxen fears change. Many do. But change comes whether we fear it or not. She looked at Hana. Continue teaching the cubs. Human Hana, we will watch and see what grows from these strange seeds you plant. The meeting ended. As they walked back to the medical tent, Richter said quietly, "Thank you for defending us." "You defended yourselves," Hana said. "I just supported you." "That is what family does." "Family?" Shiva asked. "Yes," Hana smiled. "You are my little stars. That makes us family." The three cubs looked at each other and made soft clicking sounds. In their language, they had no word for family that was not based on blood, but they were learning that some bonds ran deeper than blood. The ground shook at dawn. Hana woke to the sound of warning bells ringing through Haven. She grabbed her medical kit and ran outside. People were shouting. In the distance, something roared. Commander Doyen stood at the command center, studying a portable screen. "We have movement from the western mountains." "Something big. How big?" Hana asked. G1 pointed to the seismic readings. "These numbers do not make sense. Nothing should be this large." A Valkyrie runner came sprinting from the forest. It was one of Krekther's scouts. "Void Serpent," he shouted. "Void Serpent comes." The blood drained from Krekther's face as he entered Haven. Hana had never seen the War Master afraid before. "You must leave. Now, all of you. What is a Void Serpent?" Doyen asked. "Death," Krekther said simply. "Death that cannot be killed. It lives deep in the mountain caves. It only comes out when the earth shakes and drives it from its home. It destroys everything in its path." As if summoned by his words, the creature appeared on the horizon. Hana's mouth went dry. The Void Serpent was easily 30 meters long, with a body as thick as a transport shuttle. Its scales were black as night, and it moved with terrible speed despite its size. It had no eyes, just sensing organs that glowed a sickly green. Its mouth was large enough to swallow a person whole. "We need to evacuate," Doyen said immediately. "Get everyone to the emergency transports. Where will you go?" Krekther asked. "It will hunt you. It will find you. It does not stop." "Then we fight it," Hana said. Everyone looked at her. "Fight it?" Krekther made a sound like bitter laughter. "We have tried. 30 of our best warriors died the last time a Void Serpent came. Their weapons barely scratched its scales." "What about our weapons?" Doyen asked. "Your thundersticks?" Krekther shook his head. "We have seen them. They are loud but weak. They will not pierce its armor." The Void Serpent roared again. It was closer now. Trees fell as it crashed through the forest. Richter, Shiva, and Talix ran up to the group. They had been training with the Valkyrie warriors when the warning came. "Hunt Mother," Richter said. "We have an idea." "Cubs, this is not the time," Krekther snapped. "This is exactly the time," Shiva insisted. "We have studied both human and Valkyrie tactics. We know how both peoples fight. Maybe together we can do what neither can do alone." Talix pulled out a hand-drawn map. "The Void Serpent moves in a straight line, yes? It does not turn easily." "Correct," Krekther said slowly. "There is a canyon 3 kilometers north. Narrow walls, steep sides. If we could lure it there." "We cannot lure it," Krekther said. "It hunts by vibration and heat. It goes where it wants. But we can make it want to go where we choose," Richter said. "Humans have devices that make sound and heat. If we place them in the canyon, the serpent will chase them." Hana understood. "Sonic lures. We use them to attract wildlife for study. And thermal flares. Get it in the canyon, then what?" Doyen asked. "We are just trapped with it." Shiva pointed to the map. "The canyon walls are unstable. Lieutenant J told me about controlled explosions. If we plant charges along the walls while the serpent is inside, we bury it," Doyen finished. His eyes widened. "We collapse the canyon on top of it. And if it survives the collapse, it will be trapped and confined, Talix added. Then Valkyrie warriors can finish it in close combat, where size is a disadvantage. Everyone was silent. The idea was insane. It required perfect timing, coordination between two species who barely trusted each other, and technology that had to work flawlessly. It will never work, Draxon said, appearing from behind. Cubs playing at war. This is what happens when you teach them human weakness. Do you have a better plan? Hannah asked sharply. Yes, we fight as Valkyrie have always fought. With honor, face to face, until we win or die. And how many will die? Elder Theron had come as well, leaning on a walking stick. How many warriors will we lose to your honor, Draxon? How many families will mourn? It is the Valkyrie way. Then perhaps the way must change, Theron said. I vote we try the Cubs' plan. The Void Serpent's roar shook the ground. It was less than a kilometer away now. We need to decide now, Doyen said. Krekthur looked at the three cubs. Then he looked at Hannah. Will you help them with this plan? Yes, Hannah said without hesitation. Then I will help too. He turned to his warriors. Gather all who can fight. We prepare for the canyon. It took 30 minutes to set up. Lieutenant J, the demolitions expert, placed charges along the canyon walls with shaking hands. G1 helped configure the sonic lures to emit frequencies that would attract the serpent. Valkyrie warriors took positions on the canyon rim. Weapons ready. Hana stood with the cubs near the canyon entrance. Her job was to activate the thermal flares in sequence, leading the serpent deeper into the trap. This is crazy, she muttered. Yes, Richter agreed. But it is our crazy. The void serpent emerged from the tree line. Up close, it was even more terrifying. Its sensing organs locked onto the first thermal flare. The creature moved with horrifying speed toward it. Hannah activated the second flare. The serpent adjusted course. Third flare, fourth, each one leading it deeper into the canyon. Now, Diane shouted. The charges detonated. The sound was deafening. The canyon walls exploded outward, then collapsed inward. Tons of rock fell on the void serpent. Dust filled the air, making it impossible to see. For a moment, there was silence. Then the rock shifted. The void serpent was still alive. It was buried up to its midsection, thrashing wildly, but alive. Warriors, now! Krekthur roared. Valkyrie fighters dropped into the canyon. In the confined space, the serpent could not use its full strength. The warriors attacked from all sides, their blades finding gaps in its armor, but the serpent's tail was still free. It swept through the warriors, sending 3 flying. One hit the canyon wall with a sickening crack. Hannah saw Shiva, directly in the path of falling debris as the serpent's struggles loosened more rocks. She did not think. She ran and shoved the cub out of the way. The rocks hit her instead. Pain exploded through Hannah's left side. She heard bones crack. She could not breathe. The world went fuzzy at the edges. Hunt Mother! Richter's voice sounded far away. She felt herself being lifted, carried. The sounds of battle continued. Through the haze of pain, she heard one final roar from the void serpent, then silence, then nothing but darkness. Hannah woke to soft beeping sounds and the smell of antiseptic. Her left side felt like it was on fire. She tried to move and gasped at the pain. Do not move, Jiwan's voice said from nearby. You have 3 broken ribs, a fractured arm, and a concussion. You are lucky to be alive. Hannah's eyes adjusted to the light. She was in the medical bay. Jiwan sat beside her bed, looking exhausted. On her other side sat 3 shapes. Richter, Shiva, and Talmix. They had not left. The serpent? Hannah croaked. Dead, Jiwan said. The plan worked. Well, mostly worked. We had 6 casualties total. 2 Valkyrie warriors with serious injuries, 3 humans with broken bones, and you, Shiva? I am here, the young Valkyrie said, moving into Hana's view. I am unhurt. Because you saved me. Hana managed a weak smile. Of course I did. You are my little star. Shiva made a sound like a sob. Hana had never heard a Valkyrie cry before. The young one held up her arm. Fresh marks had been carved into her scales, small stars arranged in a pattern. This is the mark of a debt that can never be repaid. All 3 of us bear it now. Richter and Talix showed their arms too. The same star pattern, still healing. You did not need to do that, Hana whispered. Yes, we did, Richter said. You took harm meant for one of us. In Valkyrie culture, this is the greatest honor. You are not just Hunt Mother now. You are blood of choice. Over the next week, something strange happened. Both Valkyrie and humans came to visit Hana as she recovered. They brought food, gifts, and stories. The image of a weak human taking a wound for a Valkyrie child had spread through both communities. War Master Krekther came on the 3rd day. Human Hana, he said formally. The War Council has made a decision. Hana's stomach tightened. She was not sure she wanted to hear this. We have seen what happened at the canyon. Humans and Valkyrie, working together, defeated something neither could defeat alone. The Cubs' plan saved many lives. He paused. Elder Theron has proposed a formal alliance between our peoples. A permanent one? And the vote? Hana asked. 4 in favor, 2 against. I, Warrior Draxon, voted against, of course. But he was outnumbered. Ji-Wan, who had been listening, smiled. This is good news. Our people need allies on this world. There is more, Krekther said. We propose to build a new settlement. Not human, not Valkyrie, both. A place where both peoples live together, learn together, work together. He looked at Hana. We would call it New Haven, and we would like you to lead it. Me? Hana was shocked. I am a doctor, not a leader. You are the one who first showed us a different way. The Cubs learned from you. Now we all learn from you. Krekther placed a clawed hand gently on her shoulder. You taught us that strength is not just in claws and weapons. Strength is also in healing, teaching, and building. This is what we want New Haven to represent. Commander Doyan entered the medical bay. Dr. Kwan, I support this idea. You have done more to bring our peoples together than any formal negotiation could have achieved. If you accept, the human colony will fully support you. Hana looked at the 3 cubs, still sitting faithfully by her bed. What do you 3 think? We think you should do it, Shiva said. We will help you, Talix added. We will be your guards, your assistants, and your students, Richter said. Just as we have always been. Hana felt tears in her eyes. Then, I accept. The construction of New Haven took 6 months. It rose between the human colony and the Valkyrie village, a symbol of cooperation. Buildings combined human technology with Valkyrie architecture. Farms grew beside hunting grounds. Schools taught both languages, both histories, both ways of seeing the world. Richter, Shiva, and Talix were no longer cubs. They had grown into young adults, their bodies filling out with muscle and their voices deepening. But they still called Hana their Hunt Mother, and she still called them her little stars. They became the first of a new kind of Valkyrie. Not pure warriors, but something more. They could fight when needed, but they preferred to solve problems other ways first. They became teachers, training both humans and Valkyrie in combined tactics. They became mediators, settling disputes between the 2 species. They became symbols of what cooperation could achieve. Not everyone was happy with the changes. Draxon left the main Valkyrie village with a small group of traditionalists. They built their own settlement far to the north, away from human influence. Elder Theron let them go. Some must hold to the old ways, she said. This is also important. But the old ways are not the only ways. 2 years after the Void Serpent attack, Hannah stood in the central square of New Haven. Her hair had more gray in it now. Her left side still ached when the weather changed. But she was happy. She watched as a class of mixed human and Valkyrie children learned mathematics from a human teacher, while a Valkyrie warrior taught them hunting skills. She saw Jiwon arguing cheerfully with Krekther about the best way to preserve food for winter, combining human technology with Valkyrie traditional knowledge. She saw her 3 little stars, now grown, leading a patrol of mixed-species guards along the settlement border. Lieutenant J approached her. "Commander Kwan," he said with a smile. She had accepted the military rank reluctantly, only because New Haven needed official leadership. "Just Hannah," she corrected, as she always did. "Hannah, then. We have a situation." 3 young Valkyrie cubs from Draxon's settlement were found trying to sneak into our medical storage. Hannah sighed. "Trying to steal supplies? Maybe, or maybe just curious. They are very young." One of them got stuck in a window and started crying. Despite herself, Hannah smiled. "Where are they now?" "Waiting in your office." "They are terrified." Hannah walked to her office, Jay following. Inside, 3 small Valkyrie huddled together. They were even younger than Richter, Shiva, and Talnix had been when she first met them. Their scales were still bright green without scars. They looked up at her with frightened yellow eyes. "Hello," Hannah said gently, sitting down to be at their eye level. "I am Hannah. What are your names?" The cubs clicked nervously at each other. Finally, the bravest one said, "I am Korthon. This is my brother Shivo and my sister Mika." "Nice to meet you, Korthon, Shivo, Mika. Are you hungry?" They nodded slowly. Hannah pulled out ration bars from her desk drawer. She always kept some there now. "These are a bit sweet, but they will fill your stomachs." The cubs took them carefully and ate. They watched her with those huge eyes, waiting for punishment. "You are from the northern settlement, yes? Drax Ness Village?" Another nod. "Did he send you to steal from us?" "No," Korthon said quickly. "We came ourselves. We heard stories about this place. About the human who teaches Valkyrie new ways. About the 3 cubs who became mighty warriors without losing their honor." He looked down. "We wanted to see if it was true. And now you have seen. What do you think?" The 3 cubs looked at each other. Mika, the smallest, spoke for the first time. "You are not what we expected. You are smaller than us, weaker, but..." She struggled for words. "You are not afraid. Why?" "Because you are children," Hannah said. "I do not fear children. I only want to help them grow strong and wise." Shiva asked, "Can we stay?" "Just for a little while?" "To learn?" Hannah looked at Jay, who shrugged. She thought about it. Draxon would be angry if he found out. But these cubs had come seeking knowledge, not war. "Yes," she said. "You can stay. I will send word to your village so they do not worry. And while you are here, you will learn everything my little stars can teach you." Korthon's eyes widened. "Your little stars?" "That is what I call my students," Hannah said with a smile. "Would you like to meet them?" The cubs nodded eagerly. Hannah called for Richter, Shiva, and Talnix. When they arrived and saw the new cubs, they understood immediately. They had once been those frightened children. "Show them around New Haven," Hannah told them. "Teach them what you have learned. Help them see that strength comes in many forms." As the older ones led the younger cubs out, talking in excited clicks, Jay said, "You have a talent for this. Turning enemies into family." "They were never enemies," Hannah said. "They were always just children trying to be brave. All they needed was someone to believe in them." She walked to the window and looked out at New Haven. In the square, humans and Volcari worked side by side. Children of both species played together. The impossible had become normal. Hannah thought back to that first night in the cave, when 3 clumsy cubs had tumbled into her lap and changed everything. She had not known then that those moments of kindness would grow into something so much larger. That was the thing about kindness, she thought. You never knew how far it would spread. You just had to be willing to offer it and see what grew. Outside her window, the stars were coming out. The real ones, not her adopted children. But when Hannah looked at them, she smiled. Because somewhere out there in the settlement, 6 young Valkyrie were learning that strength and compassion were not opposites. They were learning to be little stars, themselves. And that, Hannah thought, was the most human thing of all. Not building great ships or making powerful weapons, but seeing someone who needed help and choosing kindness over fear. That was how you changed the world. One small star at a time.